All right, we have problem 2 now, and it says, Marcus compares the half-mile run times of 5 runners at a tournament. Runners with an approximate time of 3 and 5 tenths minutes advance to the next level. Before Marcus records the result, he rounds each time to the nearest tenth. Which times round to 3 and 5 tenths? Choose all the correct answers. And then we have our answers here. Now when I say choose all the correct answers, that's telling me there might be multiple answers here. So I need to make sure I check all of these and don't just stop at the first one that we see is correct, because there could be more than one. So before I begin, I want to make sure that I'm rounding to the correct place value, and it says here that we're rounding to the nearest tenth. I'm going to underline nearest tenth so I don't forget, which means my tenths place right here should turn into a 5 with whatever ones we have here. Now if you remember, our rule is 4 or less, you let that number rest. If it's 5 or more, you raise the score. And if you remember, when we use our number line here, 4 or less, that means if a number is between, let's say 0 and 1, if it's 4 or less, that means it's going to be down here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That means that number is going to stay the same. It's going to stay at whatever place value that was there. If it's 5 or more, that means we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and even 9. That means we have to raise it up to that next place value that we're rounding to here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug all these numbers into our place value chart, just that way I make sure that they're lined up. So I'm going to grab 5th grader's best friend, place value chart. And the first number that we have is 3 and 45 hundredths. The next one is 3 and 57 hundredths. Next one we have is 3 and 525 thousandths. Then we have 3 and 509 thousandths. And our last one's going to be 3 and 482 thousandths. So before I begin, I'm going to underline the place value that we are rounding to. So that's going to be our tenths place here. I'm going to underline each of those tenths place so I know this is the one that's either going to change or stay the same when we round. Next, I need to circle the place value that's going to tell this tenths whether it's staying the same or it's changing. So that would be the hundredths. I'm going to circle all those hundredths here just to set myself up for success. And now I can go through and I can figure out, hey, is this tenths going to raise the score based off of what the hundredths are saying? So let's look at the first one here. I see we have a 5. Well, that's 5 or more, so that raises the score, which means this would equal 3 and 5 tenths. So that's our first answer. Let's check out the next one. I see we have a 7. Well, that's 5 or more. That means this number in our tenths place will raise the score. So this would actually equal 3 and 6 tenths. That's not what we're looking for, so that number will not work for us. Next one I see a 2 in the hundredths place. Well, that's 4 or less, which means this number gets to rest. Now it's a 5, which means we are rounding that to 3 and 5 tenths, just like so. Next one, there's a 0. Well, that's 4 or less. That means this number rests. So this also will be 3 and 5 tenths. And then I see we have an 8 here. Now remember, 5 or more to raise the score. So this 4 right here actually needs to go up by 1. So this is also going to be 3 and 5 tenths when we round to the nearest tenths place. So if you notice here, there's multiple correct answers. So when I go back to my problem here, I need to make sure that I'm choosing all of those correct answers. And so this one was correct. This one was not correct. This one was correct. This one was correct. And then of course this last one was correct. So our answers are 3 and 45 hundredths, 3 and 525 thousandths, 3 and 509 thousandths, and then 3 and 482 thousandths. And that will be problem 2.